Let's talk linebackers. Not a lot of old people in the linebacker room. None. Edgerrin, Cooper, Tyron Hopper added in the draft. Quay Walker. We talked a lot about him when the defensive coordinator search was underway. Because I think for me that was the big question I would ask any defensive coordinator candidate is how do you get this guy to the next level? Because clearly he's a terrific athlete. It's just been hard for him to put all the pieces together. Obviously, his rookie year, he had a couple of those, what would we call them, heated moments where he lost his cool.
Stupid mistakes, getting ejected from games.
Yeah, that too. And then last year he was fine. He had a big
started really well in the opener,
yeah.
And you thought, oh my gosh, this guy's going to take off in year 2.
And he didn't.
I really thought we would see more just flashes. And after the interception return for a touchdown in week 1,
there were none.
There weren't any. And that's what makes me concerned that even a defensive coordinator switch is going to unlock whatever potential's inside of Quay Walker. Because even if you are destined to be somebody who's going to be a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro, the way that, Chewy thought that this guy could be potentially a Defensive Player of the Year type. That's how athletic he is. But I would like to think that no matter who your defensive coordinator is, you would see flashes of that more. And that's why I'm just skeptical of him going into the season, although I guess that's also why I was surprised that he was, at least in mini camps and OTAs, he was the guy with the green dot. I thought that might be a McKinney thing, but as of right now, they're choosing to trust Quay Walker.
So why, for all the praise that we give, we talk about Brian Gutekunst like he is the general manager, is what Alex Gravatt is to the Madison Radicals. But why do we not point out that those 2 first-round picks that we just talked about have been underwhelming for their first 2 seasons?
Well, I think a lot of people, want to blame Joe Barry for that and are willing to give a little bit of a leash because of that, right? So if Quay Walker's disappointing this year, then, okay, now we're looking at Goody. If we get to a point where both of those first-round picks are disappointing and they don't pick up the 5th-year option at this time next year, then that's going to come back and reflect poorly on Goody.
That's fair. And look, the other guys that they have in that room are the older guys that are special teams only guys, right? Christian Welch and Eric Wilson, who, I did write about this at one point because during the offseason there's not, once you get through kind of the headline stories, you're kind of looking for different angles. Eric Wilson may have made one of the biggest plays of the year had they not then lost that San Francisco game. The fact that he recovers that fumble by Keyshawn Nixon at the end of that long kickoff return was a huge play in the moment. Unfortunately, we forget it because of Jordan Love's interception and Anders Carlson's miss. But those are the kinds of moments that now, when they're in that position again, will they get that kind of play? Because you need both those moments where you're a little bit lucky and a guy that you don't expect to be in a key role does something really important, and your quarterback and your studs make the plays that you need them to make.
We will take a look at the state of the defensive backs in Hour 3. We will also look at state of the kicker and the overall state of the Packers game.
Isaiah McDuffie, where does he fit into this?
He's a starter, right?
Is he? They just used 2 high draft picks.
They did.
There's only really going to be 2 on the field. Even though they're a 4-3, they're going to be playing a lot of sub packages.
Correct.
So there's only going to be 2 inside, 2 linebackers, I guess, on the field at any given moment. If we're assuming one's Quay, it's
either McDuffie, or Cooper, Edgerrin Cooper.
Right, and I think we'll know more once we get into training camp. But I would say this: I would predict a little bit like we were talking about Jordan Morgan earlier on the offensive line. I wouldn't be surprised if they started the year with Isaiah McDuffie as their number 2 on the field all the time, running or full. Linebacker. I got there eventually. I'm going to be pulling my pants up next as an old man. I can't remember what position he plays. But I think they'll start the season there. But your hope, look, you don't draft Javon Bullard, who we'll get to when we talk about the secondary in the 3 o'clock hour. But you don't draft him and you don't draft Cooper to not play right away.
Yep.
So your expectation is for those guys to have an impact on the defense this year. But remember, Isaiah McDuffie has known Jeff Hafley longer than anybody else that they have on this staff. And so there is a connection there. I will be curious to see, even though they were only together for 1 year at Boston College, if that'll matter.
Interesting. Well, yeah, it doesn't always work out that way. A la a man we talked about last segment in Devontae Wyatt. Sometimes those draft picks just don't pan out right away like you anticipate they will. But hopefully that's the case with this linebacker group. What are you smiling about?
I just enjoy people watching. I usually am in my basement.
This is why they don't let you. This is why
bad.
they don't let you when they do
I'm gonna
remotes.
do the third hour from here.